Hey there, AI enthusiasts. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to venture into the realm of transformers, not robots in disguise, but a little groundbreaking architecture or AI architecture that's powering the new generation of languages like GPT-4. Buckle up as we unravel the secrets of how some of these models make machines think and speak like never before. Well, okay, so the rise of transformers again. It's one of those things I didn't mean to do, but I had to do it. Imagine trying to understand a book by reading it word by word without remembering what came before. That's the challenge AI faced with older models like L- LSTMs. Um, Transformers changed the game with a powerful concept called attention. Think of it as a spotlight that lets the model focus on the most relevant parts of the conversation, just like we do. This breakthrough unlocked a whole new level of language, of understanding in generations. Now, unpacking the Transformer Toolkit kind of shows you like how the Transformers work their magic. Like, let's say, picture a language expert dissecting a sentence with laser focus. Now, the Transformers have specialized tools for this. One is self attention layers. These allow the models to identify and weigh the importance of different words and phrases, building a contextual and understanding of the input. Um, Positional encoding, like this helps the model keep track of the word order and ensuring it understands the flow of the language. And then there's feed forward networks. Sorry, I'm always saying notebooks for some reason. Anyways, these process like the information further, extracting the deeper meaning and patterns. And now here's the real kicker: transformers can actually process information simultaneously, unlike traditional models that handle data in the linear space. Like parallel processing makes them super efficient and fast. Um, yeah, I mean, one of the things we could talk about is like, let's say, let's try to create a sort of a masterclass for transformers in this case. Like it's GPT-4, where the transformer powered language model that's pushing the boundaries of AI. It can write different kinds of content, like translate languages, answer your questions in a remarkable, informative way. Yeah, all thanks to the transformer architecture at its core. Now, some real world examples of GPT-4 is personalizing emails. Imagine a marketing tool that creates emails or crafts an email tailored to each individual's interests and preference. Think of it like targeted advertising, but now done on the GPT-4 level. There's also generating code, which you're hearing a lot more of nowadays, specifically with like Microsoft's Copilot, Bard's Access, or Gemini, as well as ChatGPT, OpenAI's aspect as well too, where developers can use AI to write code snippets or even an entire program, saving time and effort. And then, of course, there's the aspect of summarizing documents. Now, if you've seen, um, what is it? If you've seen basically Google on your Android or even on your web browser when you're Googling something, sometimes it'll give you the option of like summarizing the article itself. Now, if you're having a Pixel phone, it shows up immediately. Basically, like it'll try to give you a summary of like of the context of the material and makes it much more easily identifiable for you. Like bringing out the bullet points for you straight up without having to like read the entire thing. I mean, people love to put flavors in there. So now it is a revolution for Transformers, where it's not just changing the face of language era. They're also making waves of area of image classification, of course, which identifies objects, scenes, and images, and incredible accuracy. And of course, there's protein folding, where you can. It's now starting to predict 3D structures of proteins, which could revolutionize drug discovery, and it's being used considerably. And now, one of the things you could ask is like, how can it? Well, think it this way: Moderna and what's the other one? BioNTech, which worked with Pfizer, when the pandemic came out, COVID came out, you wonder like, hey, they were able to solve this very quickly. Well, the reason why they were able to do it is because through machine learning, they once they were able to sequence the the disease itself, or specifically the proteins. Uh, they were able to, like, generate the model, define what the issues were, identify the proteins that are causing, what sort of proteins are being attacked by this virus, and then they could create the vaccine for it, basically. So that was one of the big things about it. So like now we're seeing more and more of it. So now it could be applicable to cancer. I mean, nowadays you've got, let's say, breast cancer, prostate cancer, whatever, and small those cancers where you can, I hate to say this, but slice the tissue and sequence the tissue of the disease. You can get more and more information about it. Now the problem is the reason why I was like, well, what about all the other stuff? Well, again, it comes down to the fact is you have to have enough of a sample set. The problem is like, let's say someone with a lung cancer, you're not gonna go to a person while they're alive and ask, like, okay, let's take a sliver of your lung, basically, or for that matter, someone that has pancreatic cancer, or liver cancer. I mean, livers you can slice up a little bit, but like and such, no one's like while alive is gonna be willing to give up unless they're willing to. But more often than not, you have to get it during a period when like there's an operation and they have no choice but to. Now the thing is what about when they die? Well, the problem is those are dead tissues at that point. So you're really getting the tail end of the virus when it's dying off. You really want it when it's at a point of like where it's up and like coming about, basically. So that's where these things come into play at that point. Now, transformers, of course, have revolutionized the AI's ability to understand and generate language, opening up a world of like possibilities as we continue to explore their potential and address definitely a lot of ethical concerns. We can expect transformers to play a pivotal role in shaping the future of AI and its impact on our lives. Now, of course, there's the other aspect, like that aspect of the ethical aspect of AI, basically. One of the big things that, we're having issues with in the transformers themselves is basically amplifying, let's say, misinformation and bias. It's like amplifying and harmful narratives where transformers trained on massive data sets can inadvertently reflect and amplify existing societal biases, leading to the spread of misinformation and harmful stereotypes. Like an example would be a model trained on news articles might generate text perpetuating like racial or gender inequality. So that's why in some cases targeted advertising may not work, because in the fact on the amount of data that's it's being fed upon, it might eventually just target gender inequality at that point. And then of course there's the other aspect as well, is deepfakes and synthetic media. And deepfakes you're starting to see more and more where advanced transformers can create hyper realistic fake videos and audio recordings, making it increasingly difficult to discern truth from fiction. This of course raises concerns about manipulation, disinformation campaigns impacting everything from elections to personal reputations. They'll be surprised to see videos on TikTok, Instagram, and such of whoever Joe Biden doing things when he's not supposed to be, and people are starting to do that as well. You're starting to see like these videos of actors or celebrities and such manners as well. And of course, celebrities in porn when in reality they haven't done porn. And then there's all the factors as well, which this one I think you've got to. The internet sort of did the exact same thing to workers back when, which is the job displacement and automation. Like it create, you got the creative and technical professions where as transformers gain the ability to write different kinds of creative content and generate code, they could potentially automate tasks currently performed by humans, leading to job displacement in fields like journalism, marketing, and programming. I mean, most often than not, it's marketing and script writing for that matter. I mean, honestly, that was the whole thing with the strike with the writers and the actors coming, with the movie studios, because the fact is like as generative AI, Gen AI becomes more and more popular, and Transformers are becoming the big backbone of it. Basically, it's it's creating more and more scripts, more and more books, and with deepfakes, of course, you can create actors. Just grab the actors, pay a person that looks similar to the person at half the cost or a fraction of the cost, grab their voice, and then utilize them at that point, even when they're possibly dead, which we're starting to see more and more of. Now, there's also the black box effect, which is a big one, where you got the complex inner workings of transformers, which are difficult to understand and making it hard to explain how they arrive at certain outputs. It's like the lack of transparency can pose challenges in areas like legal accountability and ethical decision making. So think about it this way: as more and more data is being scraped off the net, as more and more data is being fed from the net and such into this transformer, you could be asking is like, hey, what's like, there was a classic example with Amazon, where they're trying to, create a show, and it's trying to determine like, okay, what would be the next best character to apply or create, basically. In that aspect, when it was trying to generate the character, there was another aspect that was being done within the transformer where it was arriving about human sentience, human sentiment. And the question is like, why wasn't handling worrying about human sentiment? All it's really doing is you really want this information. But the thing was, the transformer is realizing, the models itself is realizing like, hey, look, to come to this conclusion of what the next best character, we need to know what the human's thinking about, what their like or dislike may be, to probably give you that character that they would like. And in reality, that was an adverse effect of like, whoa, wait, hold on. They didn't expect it to handle for human sentiment, not sentiency, but sentimency, as far as like what the person's feeling. Why no one thought it like it needed that. It's like all these other factors, but it was because it was being fed all this other stuff. It started coming into that aspect as well too, which there was no realization of how it came about. So that's another thing where like sometimes you're wondering like, where is it getting this? But then you're logically thinking about it's like, okay, it makes sense from that perspective, but it was never programmed to do that. And then of course now you got the social and ethical concerns of transformers, where you can weaponize the language, where you could basically could use transformers to generate harmful content like hate speech and propaganda, and polarizing online discourse and inciting real world violence. I'm kind of, and as well, of course, as transformers definitely play into a factor of like privacy and surveillance. You got large language models trained on personal data, which there's a privacy concern right there and there, as well as like, it can be definitely be misused by governments and corporations. I mean, think about it this way: the NSA with Project Prism, they were grabbing information about everything and anything about an individual, and they have so much information that feeding all those models, it's like whatever it is. So like, think of like this way: like Apple and Google, both of their operating systems have and Google having a little bit more with the emails and such, but still having all that information, they know all the things you're surfing on, what you're doing, what you're seeing, what you're reading, etc. And then just building off of that and feeding that information to these models, and then eventually these transformers are probably able to identify more and more of what you're gonna like and dislike. The question is that a thing or not? Is that something that you'd be concerned about? Possibly. Now, it's not a danger from the transformer itself inherently, but the rise of what their misuse and irresponsible development of can be a danger. So like, think about it this way: it's like AI, and specifically transformers themselves as well, but AI itself can be used for good or bad, but it's a matter of, it's like the gun situation. It's like a gun. I'm not saying I'm against guns, but think about it this way: a gun in the hands of an individual is what the individual does with a gun. If it's a crazed person, you're wondering why they were usually using the gun. Now, if the person that just is a admirer of it, not going to fire on anyone, he's just going to admire the craftsmanship on it. So, from that perspective, think about AI in that perspective as well too. You'll have people that enjoy it and knows like, hey, this is good piece of information, and like, gaining knowledge from it. And then there's those that are probably going to use it to like, misuse it to the point of spreading propaganda, misinformation, etc., or using it for bad purpose, for malignant purposes, basically. I mean, you're trying to create safeguards. I mean, when Nikki Haley on one of her town hall says like, hey, we have to create laws for these AIs. I mean, like, the thing is like, these laws already exist. Are you saying that they don't exist? If I were to use AI to do this for me, that it's not illegal? Of course it's illegal. It's just a matter of like how you put the safeguards in place. Now, there are some points to consider in the discussion. Like, you got transparency and explainability, which as you increase transparency into how transformers work, it's crucial to address the concerns of biasness and fairness. Sometimes bias is an inherent nature of feeding the model that comes out as a result of it. And then of course there's the algorithmic accountability, where you're establishing a clear accountability of the outputs of the AI systems to essentially prevent misuse and harm. And then you got the human in the loop system, where it's combining the powers of the transformers with a little bit of human oversight, and intervention can help mitigate risk and ensure ethical applications. I mean, the emergence of powerful technologies like transformers is definitely exciting. Let's not forget that. But it's also vital to acknowledge and address that it has potential dangers alongside their benefits. And by approaching AI development with critical thinking, responsibility, collaboration, we could sort of harness the power of the transformers for good and ensure that they work for the betterment of humanity. But it's up to the individuals as well as themselves too. So let's not forget that. But with that, I'll leave it at that. Let me know your comments. Let me know your thoughts. What do you think? Transformers have become much more groundbreaking, to the point where like a drastic change or drastic shift has occurred now, to the point where like now, as transformers are becoming more and more trained and more advanced, generative AI and other forms of AI are becoming more and more superlative to our everyday life. Let me know your thoughts about that. I mean, I'll gladly want to hear your feedback about it, and know your sharing your comments about what you think about it. Is it good? Is it bad? Are you afraid of it? Whatever it may be. As I said, I do read my comments and I do respond to them. But with that, I'll leave it at that. If you enjoy my content or enjoy my video, enjoy my channel, please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. If you like this video, please like this video. If you don't like it, dislike it. You're welcome to dislike it. But if you do like it or don't like it, but do have some feedback about this video, please let me know in the comment section again, and I'll be grateful for that. But with that, I'll leave it at that. Unfiltered, unedited, and of course, always unrehearsed. Until next time.